Fed up of floor robes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering, no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen, and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers, and welcome to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host, Heather Tingle. Now, today's episode has come about after I recorded the Zoning and Getting Started workshop. And at the end of the workshop, an untangler on that training had a massive light bulb moment. What they realised was they needed to give themselves permission to have their house how they actually wanted it. So how it worked for them, the things that they wanted in a place that wouldn't make sense for anybody else, but it would be what they wanted. And I would love to explore this a little bit with you in this podcast because it's such an important step in your declutter adventure. And it's something I know I struggled with for many, many, many years. Now, for me, I was lucky as I decluttered my home appeared to me in a new way. And by making so many decisions throughout the process of decluttering, I started to trust my own wants, my own needs, thoughts, and ideas so much more. Now, obviously, I still do use people as a sounding board, like no person's an island. But I use them to bounce ideas off, not necessarily make the decisions for me anymore. And I would love for you to get to that place too in your home. So you're not needing an adultier adult in your life to say, yes, it's okay, for you to decide, this is okay for me, this is what I'm going to try, this is what I want to do, this is where I want things to be, this is what I want to keep. And I want you to really get on board with learning to say to yourself, this is my house, my home, and I get to choose, because it can be a really powerful mindset shift. Now, the worrying about decision making and trusting your own instincts almost can show up in so many ways. It might be you ask friends or family what they do with something, try and get suggestions or ideas. It might be keeping items just in case someone notices that it's not there anymore. Maybe in case a parent or a partner might want it. It might be rearranging furniture but second guessing it and thinking, I'm not sure, or not daring to change anything because that's the way it's always been, and not really pushing yourself out of that comfort zone of what's always been. Sometimes you want things to be different, and it can be really a good little side quest, I suppose, for you to try something new that feels good for you, and that's really important. It might be that you do things the way your parents did them, even if it doesn't really work for you. So the example I talked about in the zoning workshop was I never had anything white in my house. So no white walls, no white skirting boards. And one of the first things I did was paint some skirting boards white, because my parents are really big into keeping things natural. And, in my head, white was terrible. White was, showed the muck and the dirt and was hard to keep clean. It was hard to maintain. You should never have anything white. It's artificial. Actually, I quite like that artificial look. I love real wood as well, but I really like the contrast of the white and the sharp lines it gives. So for me, trusting myself and thinking, that's okay. It's not what you would have in your home, but I'm having it in mine. And that was a real big mindset shift for me, which changed a lot of things. So why is it so hard for us to think that we can't make those decisions? We can't be the adulty adult. Me personally, I think a lot to do with it is being a late diagnosed autistic ADHDer. I think we struggle with executive function overload all the time. Rejection sensitivity can play a part. And also, if we're honest, if you've grown up neurodivergent, it's highly likely that nearly every single decision or anything you've ever done has had criticism. So why would you not trust yourself? Because let's face it, if you're always getting criticized, if you're being a square peg in a round hole all the time, it's going to be really hard to trust yourself because you've always got it wrong in theory, except you haven't got it wrong. You know inside you what is right for you and your home. And yes, you absolutely have to take on board who else lives in the home. But I'm not talking about those people in the home, the people who you live with, who you do have to consider. That is important. But I'm talking about external influences. They're the ones that you don't need to listen to. Actually, you can make your own decisions. There can be also like learned patterned from childhood. So someone else always made the decisions. So it might be that your parents would always tidy your room for you. Your parents would be the ones that would chuck the stuff away when it got to a certain age. And that always made it really hard for you because you wanted to hold on to things probably longer because they'd made those decisions and you had no control over it. So that can be quite a difficult thing to learn. Actually, it is up to you to make those decisions now, and they can be quite hard. And I definitely think there is a fear of doing it wrong. It's if you're going to do it one way and it's going to be the wrong way of doing it. There is no right or wrong way. As long as you're moving forward and you are listening to your emotions and what works for you, you can't really get it wrong, in all honesty. I really want you to reclaim your decision-making power. And that sounds really woo-woo and really wordy. But you do need to be aware that you are the authority in your space. Your home should be what you love. And you don't need permission to throw something away as long as it is yours to throw away. Don't go throwing away other people's stuff because that is not in your remit. But your own stuff, doesn't matter where you got it from, doesn't matter how long you've had it for, doesn't matter who gave it to you. It is up to you totally to decide, is it something that you love now? Is it something you're going to love in the future? Is it something that you want in your home anymore? And if the answer to those is yes, great. If the answer is no, then it's okay to let it go. And you don't need to justify what your home looks like to anybody. One of the best things I ever realised was walking into a friend's house, and their house was so unique and so, I want to say ridiculous, but ridiculous in such a good way. It was so unique, so them, and not at all what I would have for myself. But it was beautiful. And it was beautiful because it was tidy. It was all the things that they loved. It was their personality. And if you have a home you love that is set up for you and the things that you adore and how your mind works, now your brain works, then you will have a house that's gorgeous. It doesn't have to be like a show home. It doesn't have to be like on a picture of Home Beautiful or anything like that. It has to be what's right for you, nobody else. So you need to start trusting yourself. One of the quickest tricks to do that is by asking yourself, by changing the language of should. We hate the word should in the untangled world. Should not be ever used, except when you're forced to. You can go from I should keep this to actually I'm choosing to keep this, and see how that feels. If you're choosing it, it means you want it. You really love it. You adore it. You've decided, rather than should, which is someone else thinks I need to have this. And I really want you to think about that. And remember, each decision you make is another step towards having the home you want. And it's okay to trust that gut instinct and your emotions. They really can't be wrong. I think the times that you go wrong often is by going against your emotions. And what you're doing is you're thinking logically. You're thinking about, well, I should keep this because, or what happens if this happens? I should, hold on to it. Actually, you go with your emotions. I want to keep this because I love it. This makes me smile. And it doesn't matter if you've got a house full of rainbows and unicorns, or like me, I've got a bright pink bathroom. Does it matter as long as it makes you smile? No. Word of warning though, don't make hard decisions when you're exhausted. So things like sentimental stuff or something that you can never get back. Do not do that when you are exhausted. Now, you're always tired, let's face it. If you're an adult of a certain age, you've got a life, you've got a very full home, you're going to be knackered pretty much all the time. That it does not escape you from making those decisions. However, when you know your own energy levels, do not make those big decisions when you're exhausted. Start off with an easier decision first. And remember, most things are reversible. So part of me trusting my own decision-making process. You will make mistakes. You will make mistakes, but most things are reversible. So I once painted my hallway prisoner cell block H grey, like dark grey. Grey was all the rage. I wanted to go grey. I went on what I thought was a really chic colour. It made my house look like a very dark, dull prison. It was horrendous. But you know what? It was a quick, easy, simple solution. Went back, got a lighter colour. Looks great now. I love it. So things are reversible. Let yourself experiment. So move things around. Try a different layout. Try it for a week and see how it feels. And if it doesn't feel right or you don't feel that it works, then move it back. It's okay. You can try things out. And remind yourself, if it doesn't work, I can just change it again. It's okay. So I really want you to celebrate the small decisions. Even deciding like what mug to keep is a real win when you're deciding, because those decisions are all about what you want to keep in your home, not necessarily what you want to get rid of. And I think that's a really important thing. I think one of the traps that we fall into is a perfectionism trap, waiting until you know exactly what to do or waiting until the conditions are perfect before taking action. So, for example, not putting pictures up on a wall until it's decorated. No, get them up now. You can always move them off and take them off later, even if it is going to create a little bit more extra effort and energy. It's okay. Put them up and enjoy them in the meantime. We also will seek validation. So we might take photos to a friend and ask what others they would do, or we might look on the internet, see what other people have done. And other people aren't living in your home. You are. So make it how you want it. And don't keep things out of guilt or imagined judgment, because we also think so far ahead often, and we think we know what other people are thinking, and often we don't. So we must think, oh, but they might notice if it's not here anymore. And okay, so they know it's not here. What are they going to say? They're going to say, what have you done with the thing I bought you? You can say, well, actually, it wasn't for me. I let it go. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. It is your space. The other thing that is an issue is thinking you need to get it all done in one go to get it right. You don't. You can do it in small, manageable chunks, bite-sized chunks, and that way it's much more sustainable too. So just a reminder, you don't need to get it perfect. You need to start and you need to listen to yourself and trust that you are the adult now. You are allowed to make these decisions. You are allowed to do what is right for you and what feels good for you. You're allowed to inject a bit of fun, a bit of personality. Your space is allowed to reflect you right now. Someone should be able to look at your home and see your personality and see all your loves and see it sparkle in a totally different way to their own home. And that is what you want. You're allowed to choose comfort, calm, colour, or chaos, whatever works for your brain and life. So, if you want, big bean bags in your living room instead of a sofa, get bean bags. That's okay. The only way I can say is that trust grows with use like a muscle. The more decisions you make, the more positive feedback you get to yourself that you're making the right decisions. So it is like a muscle that you've got to exercise when you're making these decision-making processes. The more you do, the easier it gets and the more you will trust yourself. And let's face it, you're already doing half the work by listening to me. So until next time, trust yourself, listen to that gut, be kind to yourself, and remember you're not alone and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour, hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.